that gave me so much pain.
In the Christian Black community, many families consider T.D. Jakes as a voice of reason and their go-to in difficult times. He has authored so many books and released lots of sermons, which people would consider life-changing. However, another side to T.D. Jakes is a man that likes to rub shoulders with the top names in the entertainment industry, which has placed him at the center of controversy. It makes us wonder if T.D. Jakes is a true spiritual man, or if he is in the ministry for profit. Is he blessing lives or destroying them? T.D. Jakes grew up in Vandalia, West Virginia, one of the rich neighborhoods in the area. There is a street carrying his last name, which might not mean anything, but shows that he may not have grown in abject poverty as he claims in his preachings. The preacher claims to have grown with no light, diapers, and access to basic amenities. But that is not the point of this video. In recent times, actually, for years now, T.D. Jakes has been coming under harsh criticism for his secular life choices as a religious man. After building the Potter's House Church in 1996, he has been experiencing steady growth, which is no surprise judging by his oratory skills.
What happened to Moses is a result of people underestimating.
The pastor knows how to deliver his sermons, testimonies, and paint a picture of the voice of God. You just have to listen to his sermons or read his books to understand. But despite the success he has experienced in the ministry, T.D. Jakes has been yearning for more and actually reaching out to more. Around 2023, T.D. Jakes became the subject of discussion when P Diddy was accused of sexual assault by ex Cassie Ventura. If you have watched our previous videos on Diddy, you will remember we shared his love for freak-offs and wild sex parties. Despite doing something so nasty, T.D. Jakes always seemed to be present at such parties. Although there were only allegations, it may not have been far from the truth considering the relationship between P. Diddy and Bishop Jakes. In fact, the two have been photographed together in public, with one picture showing Diddy resting his head on Jakes' shoulder. While it wasn't a bad thing that T.D. Jakes had friends outside the church, it was embarrassing for him to be friends with a known abuser. Before Cassie Ventura's lawsuit against Diddy, there had been news of Diddy having explosive behavior and getting violent with the women around him. So when Cassie's lawsuit dropped alongside some other exes of Diddy indirectly backing her up, the right thing to do should have been to give Diddy some godly counsel. Instead, just like other of Diddy's friends, the man of God kept to himself and said nothing. However, as news of T.D. Jakes attending Diddy's wild sex parties, the bishop decided to defend himself. During one of his church services that streamed live on YouTube, he said, "I didn't come to convince you or nobody, because I know who I am. That is not what this is about. You can think about whatever you want to think. I came to do my job. I came to prophesy as I was commanded. I came to hear the master say, 'Well done, thou good and faithful servant.'" Well, we wonder if the master will tell you well done for being friends with an abuser and profiting off your relationship with him. As if being affiliated with P. Diddy was not enough character assassination for T.D. Jakes, his son, Jermaine Jakes, was arrested during a gay sting operation in 2012. Dallas police had received a call about a sex disturbance in a parking lot of a mall, and when they arrived, they found Jermaine and other men in the vicinity. When they approached the parked cars, Jermaine came out with his private part hanging outside his unzipped pants. He began to make eye contact with one of the detectives as he off until he was satisfied. Imagine the disgust and violation the detective must have felt when Jermaine Jakes harassed him from a distance. Jermaine didn't resist arrest, and when he was asked where he worked, he revealed it was T.D. Jakes' ministry. It turned out that he was actually the chief communication officer at the ministry. Since he was only accused of indecent public exposure, he was let off with a warning. T.D. Jakes has always been open about his stance on homosexuality and claimed multiple times that he could not find any scripture to support same-sex marriage. So his son and chief communication officer being involved in same-sex activities says a lot about his hypocritical teachings. Since the Bible was against homosexuality, isn't it also against being unequally yoked with unbelievers like Diddy and some of T.D. Jakes' friends in the entertainment industry? You may argue that he is trying to bring his God into the entertainment space and proselyte people, but he has been doing it for years and there seems to be no result. It seems more like a photo op to increase his fan base. Members of his church. As if all these allegations piled against him weren't enough, a rumor spread like wildfire in 2023 that TD Jakes was the owner of the Shade Room. If you are conversant with social media, you will know the Shade Room is always at the forefront when it comes to sharing celebrity news. It's almost like they live in these celebrity houses and know everything happening per time, which is quite shocking to say the least. The Shade Room works as fast as TMZ, if not faster. So when news of TD Jakes partying with Diddy came to light, a Twitter user claimed that he wasn't surprised because the pastor and his family also run the Shade Room. It didn't take anything for people to believe and spread the allegations because they were already getting tired of the preacher. Despite not wanting to address rumors directly, TD Jakes decided to clear the air by saying he didn't own the Shade Room during an interview. He said the Shade Room was a good investment, but he didn't have his money in that. Doesn't the Bible discourage gossip? Imagine saying a blog that doesn't respect human privacy is a great investment as a pastor. Where then does your moral compass start and stop? Now, of all the allegations laid up against the pastor, the most shocking has to be when Manasseh Jordan, one of his former mentees, called him out for sexual assault. The story only gets darker from here, so brace yourself. Church leaders tend to take younger people under their wings in the guise of mentorship, where they provide counsel for them and train them to become disciples and take the church to other parts of the world. Although it's not bad to want to train these youngins in the supposed perfect way of the Lord, it usually comes with a lot of abuse and isolation. At different points in time, different pastors across the globe have been accused by former disciples of sexual abuse and other forms of punishment, which should have been a telltale sign to regulate these trainings within religious organizations. Is it Jung Myung-sak of Christian Global Mission in South Korea? Or Park Soon-ja of Five Oceans that led her members to commit mass suicide in South Korea? Or TB Joshua of Skoen, whose disciples recently accused of and other things in Nigeria? There's a lot happening in the Christian community in the world, and TD Jakes is not as innocent as his members would want to paint him. There is no smoke without fire and no accusations of abuse without trauma. When Manasseh Jordan first shared his story, there were two sets of people reacting to the video. First, we had the TD Jakes' beloved fans who believed that there was no way the story could be about their perfect minister, who they worship in the name of God. He was too well-spoken and popular to want to tarnish his image like that. But what they seem to not understand is that it's actually people in positions of power that can easily get away with abuse because they have the means to shut everyone up, and that in itself is their power. The second set of people were those using a critical lens to view the story and get to the truth. It's on very rare occasions that you would see a man come out to speak about being sexually abused because of the stigma surrounding the subject, how men are expected to act strong all the time, and the most stupid question ever: you are a man, why didn't you fight back? So when Manasseh Jordan came with his story of abuse, people wanted to know how they could help. Despite the fact that TD Jakes' name wasn't mentioned, people made the assumption because Manasseh Jordan used to be under him and suddenly left the church and started his own ministry. While anyone could have claimed that it was time for Manasseh Jordan to answer God's call, it was also strange because he never posted anything about his mentor, TD Jakes, again. So, was he abandoned for not giving in to the preacher's advances? As people were still trying to process the allegations of abuse, Manasseh Jordan came forward with another video alleging that other victims of the same abuse he went through came to meet him and shared their stories too. Manasseh Jordan's boldness helped other victims find their voice, and despite the backlash and victim shaming he is experiencing for speaking his truth, he's not allowing that to hold him back from sharing his grooming story. TD Jakes, on the other hand, hasn't said anything about the allegations, and it's largely because the victims haven't been bold enough to call him out directly. But it appears that the victims are planning a lawsuit, which would help people clear their doubts. The shocking and disturbing thing about all these incidents is that wherever TD Jakes is mentioned at the core of controversy, he doesn't bother to clear the air or acknowledge his wrongdoing. Instead, he chooses to gaslight his church members and the world by saying there's no need for him to address baseless rumors. He believes so much that he would always get out of trouble, and that's where the problem lies. For somebody that is openly homophobic, TD Jakes is always at the center of gay controversy, and that should make us question everything we know about this man.